Hi there, this is Eva Medcroft. I am a trauma coach and I'm also a owner of an ad agency. And you might be asking yourself, how do those two fit together? Well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. They just happen to be two passions that I love. And I have owned a business, my own business for about 20 years. And I have been doing trauma coaching for the past 3 years. I started training right before COVID hit, and it just happened to be very good timing, I guess, in that so many people, especially business owners, small business owners, needing support through trying traumatic, stressful times, and also having this desire, this draw for deeper work and deeper reflections and better work-life balance. From the downtimes, from seeing the downtimes and the benefits of it, and also maybe the negatives of being isolated, but the benefits of just being instead of doing. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about being, especially as a small business owner. So as a small business owner, I am one myself. We tend to overwork ourselves because we are wearing most of the hats with very little support, especially in the leadership role. You might have support from staff members, but you don't always have other leaders that you can lean on, especially if you're seeing, you've got a lot of competition. You might feel overwhelmed with the competition, so you're a little bit more isolated instead of drawn to a tribe. So one of the best practices that anybody can have to overcome stress, but especially anybody that is a small business owner, is to really start developing your own mindfulness practice. And that can be really challenging. I train people on mindfulness practices. That's one of the things I do as a trauma coach. It's one of the main things I do as a trauma coach, because mindfulness practice, developing a mindfulness practice that is right for you, is how we help retrain our body, our nervous systems, our neural connections to be more in the parasympathetic mode, be more relaxed, be more attuned, be more aligned, and less in fight or flight, less stressed, less anxious. So mindfulness, a mindfulness practice is really very critical to having balance in your life and to addressing some of the illness and imbalances that come out of traumatic stress or chronic stress, or basically overworking yourself or isolating yourself. That can be overcome in some ways. It builds resilience by doing a mindfulness practice. And one of the cornerstones of developing a mindfulness practice for yourself and learning what works for you is to start with a daily journal. The journal can be online. You can type it. You can journal by talking to notes on your phone. It's whatever's right for you. I often recommend a traditional journal that is pen to paper, simply because it's more tactile and you're using more senses when you do it. If you have a journal that I picked one that I love that's beautiful. Let me show it to you. It's just because it's just my colors. I love teal. I love blues. This is my journal. I also loved it so much that I found a cover for my iPad that matches it, and I'm always looking for something like that because it just makes me happy. As you can see maybe in the background, I have other things that are in this. I love the blues and the teals and the greens of nature. So when I'm journaling, I am not just getting the tactile sensation of writing. I'm also absorbing like the visual of the colors that I like. And also there's like the smell of paper, that can often bring back memories. One of the best way to bring back memories is olfactory, is very connected to pulling in, drawing you back into your memories. So it reminds me of learning new things in school. So to me, the pen on paper and tactile feeling of feeling the paper and smelling the paper really brings me back to a time when I was younger and more receptive and more open to learning, which is important to when you're learning what is right for yourself and what works for you. So I often recommend doing a journaling practice that helps you be in the moment. It helps you reflect, because if you're always going and not slowing down to just reflect and be, sometimes it feels like life is getting away from you. Like you feel a little ungrounded, untethered, like you're just kind of going too much with the flow. I mean, yes, you want to go with the flow, but you don't want to be just going with the flow without a paddle. You want to have some direction and some control and some reflection. You want to be able to savor all of your life, not just parts of it. You want to be able to reflect and see when there's maybe too much sweetness and not enough bitter or savory in your life. Because if you have too much of one, you're going to feel nauseous if you have too much sweet, probably, and not be as healthy. So it's important to really reflect to see what is working and where you might need minor adjustments. And as business owners, I can tell you, because I've just done this, I've just been through this, where this is what I do is I help people practice mindfulness, and I put my journal down for a while. And after a while you start to feel like time is slipping away, that my business is feeling a little out of control, that things are not moving as smoothly. And I was feeling like things are going so fast that I don't have time to journal. Well, come on. I can give myself 15 minutes to reflect on just my feelings and what I feel is working and what I feel is challenging, and honoring that and reflecting on it to say, is this a truth, or is this a limiting belief? It's very important in learning yourself to just be okay with things being a little challenging or negative. We don't always have to be happy. We don't always have to be positive. Life isn't always going to be fair. And it's good to just sit and be and reflect on that. Another challenge that I hear from clients when it comes to journaling is they don't know what to write, or they're worried about being too perfect when they journal. And I see this a lot, especially with people that are creatives or are perfectionists. They feel like it's all got to be award-winning, blow your socks off. And that's not really the purpose of journaling. Journaling is just a practice. It's almost like a meditative practice of just being, just honoring what is, not necessarily ruminating on what wasn't, or planning for what can be. Journaling is just for reflecting on what is and honoring the feelings that come up from that. So I invite you whether you're a business owner or not, to really get into the practice of journaling. Give yourself a couple minutes of time every day. It doesn't have to be a book. It can be a sentence. It can be a gratitude. And I often, if you don't know what to journal about, try just reflecting on what is going well for you this day, in this moment. What do you feel is going well? And be grateful, write your gratitudes for that. And then maybe write one challenge that has come up that you are reflecting on, and leave it at that. And if you're doing a creative journal, sometimes we have creative blocks as business owners or as creatives, or just in life. If you're having a creative block, what I have done, besides I've got a couple of movies that I like to watch just for the visuals and the sound combination, but when I am very, very blocked creatively, I will just put pen to paper and really not put any pressure on myself to produce, and just be in the moment of moving pen on paper. Or you can do it with paint. I've done it with paints too. I've done it on walls. I've done it in different areas where it's not about what you're producing. It's about the motion of creating something. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It is just creating something. There have been times where all I do is draw circles, and get into that flow of drawing circles and circles, and then maybe see what happens if I want to take that circle in a different direction. And that's all I do. And eventually it releases the block that I've had, because it's releases the expectation of producing an end product, and just gets back into my body's desire to just create something. And it helps. So, let me know what you think. I've been doing a lot of videos on Instagram, so I thought I'd do Facebook Live on my personal account, which I'll then share. But I just wanted to connect with not just my fellow business owners, but just people in general, to talk about setting up the foundations of a mindfulness practice, which will help you help reduce stress and overcome the effects of trauma, which is anxiety and maybe a nervous system that's a little more reactive. And the dogs are now starting to bark, so that's usually my sign to get off and let you go in peace and beauty today. Again, if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to DM me.